everyone, welcome back to the Lovin' Riyadh show. Today is the 23rd of June. I'm Sarah, and happy midweek. I hope summer vacation is treating you well so far. Whether you're already traveling, counting down to a trip, surviving summer school, working through the heat, or just enjoying those slightly slower summer vibes, thanks for spending part of your day with us. If you're listening on your way to work, grabbing your midday pick-me-up coffee, or making your way through Riyadh traffic, welcome in. We've got two really interesting stories lined up for you today. First, we're talking about how Saudi Arabia has managed to turn one of its oldest symbols, the camel, into a modern cultural icon that's still shaping the future. And then we're diving into a conversation that's been getting a lot of people talking online. When exactly did Snapchat streaks become a measure of friendship? Let's get into it. Our first story is about camels. Now, when most people around the world think about camels, they probably just see them as desert animals. But here in Saudi, camels are much more than that. They're part of the country's identity. They're part of history, culture, and the story of how people lived and traveled across the region for centuries. This week, Alula marked World Camel Day in a really interesting way. Instead of simply celebrating camels as a piece of history, the message was much bigger. The idea was that camels are still very much part of Saudi Arabia's story today, and that story is continuing to evolve. Think about it. Thousands of years ago, camels were essential. They connected communities, carried traders across vast distances, helped people find water, and played a huge role in everyday survival. And if there's one place where that history really comes alive, it's Alula. Ancient trade routes passed through the area, and even today you can find rock carvings and inscriptions that show just how important camels were to the civilizations that lived there. But what's really fascinating is what Saudi has done with that heritage. Instead of leaving it in museums or history books, the kingdom has found ways to make it part of modern life. Take the Alula Camel Cup, for example. It's become one of the biggest camel racing events in the world. Then you have heritage villages, festivals, and cultural experiences that allow visitors to actually engage with camel culture rather than simply read about it. And that's something Saudi Arabia has become really good at lately. There's this balance between preserving tradition and embracing the future. You can see futuristic projects, major global events, cutting-edge developments, and at the same time a strong commitment to protecting cultural identity. Camels are actually a great example of that. Over the last few years, we've seen the Year of the Camel, growing investments in the camel sector, support programs for owners, international festivals, and major competitions. What was once viewed mostly as heritage has become a cultural, tourism, and even economic asset. And honestly, that's what makes this story so interesting. Progress doesn't always mean leaving the past behind. Sometimes it means finding new ways to bring your history into the future. Saudi Arabia has managed to take something that's been part of its identity for thousands of years and make it relevant for a whole new generation. Now let's switch gears and talk about something completely different. Snapchat streaks. If you're under a certain age, you probably know exactly what we're talking about. And if you don't, here's the basic idea. You send someone a Snapchat every day, they send one back, and the app keeps count of how many days in a row you've maintained that exchange. Simple enough. But somewhere along the way, streaks became much bigger than just a feature. Especially among young people, they've become part of daily life. For some people, checking streaks happens before breakfast. For others, it's during a study break, a lunch break, or right before bed. The funny thing is that many streaks continue between people who don't actually talk very much. You might exchange a photo every single day but never have a real conversation. And that's where the debate starts. Recently, conversations online in Saudi have been asking a pretty interesting question. When did streaks become friendship? A lot of people are beginning to challenge the idea that a long streak automatically means you're close to someone. Because if you think about it, consistency and connection aren't necessarily the same thing. A streak shows that two people remembered to send something. But does it show trust? Does it show support? Does it show a meaningful friendship? Not always. In fact, some people say their closest friends are the ones they rarely have streaks with. They're the people they can call when something goes wrong, the people they actually spend time with, the people who know what's happening in their lives.
Thank you for tuning into the Love and Riyadh podcast as part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. Please hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcast from.